Hey, good morning. What's up, guys? I'm Yalik, and I am back on my Boom Raider account for today's Boom Beach video. Today we are going to be talking in praise of the Super Warriors again, and I'm going to show you a bunch of attacks that I did this morning, including some player base attacks. And we are ready on a boat. 12 hours. That's always the problem with doing boats. It gets to be so lengthy. So actually, next stop is 11 hours. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit. Or jam it. Whatever. Anyway, either way, it's always a great thing to be doing boats. It's one more Zuka. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm excited. Anyway, yeah, a bunch of attacks. Let's dive right into it. From my morning map clear and then from Dr. T. And I have just been using these things like silly. Now, this guy right here is a 56, and I will tell you in advance that I did probably 3 or 4 attacks before this one. However, I didn't drop troops in any of them. Probably on the first one I should have, because on the first one I got his base, his HQ down to almost no health. But I was really trying to beat this guy with nothing but Super Warriors. He has a very exposed, it's a corner base, very exposed HQ. You'll notice the flamethrowers are a problem for the Super Warriors, but these two don't quite reach back to this corner. This one does. It looks like there's a tiny opening back there, but trust me, upon a couple of attempts, there really is no opening back there for Super Warriors as long as this flamethrower is in play. So that had to go. This one is well out of range. Rockets are somewhat less of a problem, as you will see. So shock launchers are out of range. There are no boom cannons or cannons that will immediately take off large chunks of health. So I really gave this a go. I wanted to go just Super Warriors. So I did this the first time, got him down really close. So I tried a couple of attacks where I didn't BART out that flamethrower and tried to save the GBE for another Super Warrior. Here you see I have 2 of them going. That didn't end up working because, like I said, as long as that, it looks like there's a window back there, but as long as that flamethrower was in play, there was no window back there. So I'm going to speed that up a bit because this is just, actually I'm going to speed that up a lot. Put it in full 4x mode because we're just sitting here watching these guys work. But you'll notice right now the rockets are focused on this front Super Warrior. They're not touching the back one at all. And they are getting his health down. He's rebuilding slowly. They're getting his health down gradually. But in the meantime, I'm getting the HQ health down. And I was really hoping this guy could pull it off, although I was pretty skeptical because I'll keep that down to 2 now because it's still going to take a little while. I was pretty skeptical because this is pretty much a replay of my first attack to this point. So you see how low the HQ is getting. I had tried doing a barrage at the end, and that wasn't quite enough. So I had saved up enough energy. I was trying to be economical in getting rid of this flamethrower down here. So the first attack, I didn't have any energy left over for barrage or artillery. This one, I saved enough GBE that I had enough for a barrage or artillery, either one, but it didn't end up being quite enough. So in this case, if you don't know, you can damage a core or an HQ just by destroying buildings. So I finally gave up on the just GBE approach and went out here and, knocked down 4 or 5 buildings. 5, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 buildings and the HQ just explodes. So that was a 58. And I hope he watches those replays. He should, because like I said, I think it was 4 attacks I tried on him. So he should be watching, and hopefully he will learn a lesson there about defending that back corner a little bit better. But would not have been possible for me. A quick look at that base again. Yeah, would not have been possible for me without. These are well enough placed centrally that I couldn't have tried to flank around very easily. I could have maybe come this way and tried an attack on these guys, but I'd already be using up a lot of GBE, and at that point maybe. This would have been a maybe, but this would have been tough because it gets to a point with these higher level players where my lower level troops really can't withstand the shots from these cannons, the boom cannons. These guys are just going to one-shot my heavies, and then I'm left exposed with nothing but critters to rely on. Maybe could have been done, but it would have been tough. These guys would have really chewed up my troops. But with the Super Warrior around, on the other hand, I saw that base, and I saw an opportunity. This fellow, just a 31, so we'll look at this quickly. I am at, oh, no, wait, that's an NPC. Where? There was a lower, I'm a 38 at this point, so that was a 56. This guy, 37, so he's my level. No troops deployed. This was, okay, not looking at NPC bases. Do you think you can spot the weakness in this base? If you can't, you should probably not be playing this game. In particular with the Super Warriors. And I've said this before, the name of the game is Boom Beach, but that doesn't mean the name of the game is to indicate that the beach is of any special importance. The name of the game might be Boom Beach, but the name of the game is to defend your HQ. I don't know why people do this. Load up on the beach, and then drop their HQ back with very, very little to defend it. This guy, I just had to blast away the boom cannons, which is easy because he's my level. I've been attacking people who are higher level than me, and then it's really hard to part things down because my equipment isn't up to that level of players' equipment. I can still beat them, but that's neither here nor there. It's hard to bar things down. They have better health. This guy, I was surprised at how easy those booms went down, and then the two Super Warriors, and I'm just sitting there. And with the level 56 you saw earlier, the rockets were getting the health down on the Super Warriors. Get a load of what's happening here. Now we've got two rockets, but they're lower level rockets. They are shooting primarily at this one Super Warrior, and he is healing up completely after every volley so that his health bar disappears, meaning that you only see the health bar when they're somewhat damaged. So he's regaining full 100% health after every single shot. That wasn't even, that attack was just ridiculous. Love it. It is that easy right now. This guy is my level. I wish I were getting more people. He's a good player, actually. I believe if he's at 377 at level 37, he can't be terrible. He must know how to attack because he has beaten a bunch of other people. And you see his statues. He's an offensive player. This is probably a mini account for somebody. So I'm not quite sure what he was doing with the HQ. Maybe this is just intended to be like a wink-wink kind of thing. Like, okay, if you're new to this game, you see this base, maybe you'd be intimidated by how heavy the beach is. But if you know what you're doing, go ahead and beat me. Like a VP drop sort of strategy. Sort of conceding to people who already know the game, and for those who do not, presenting a sort of a false barrier. Here we had a 52. This one wasn't primarily, I'll show it because it's just 38 taking down a 52. This one wasn't primarily Super Warrior attack. The other two obviously were. The bulk of the damage on the first attack was done by the Super Warriors, and on the second attack it was all Super Warriors. However, in this one I used them in the capacity I was talking about the other day, which is the GBE extender. A lot of people like to do this at the back of their base. They load up their economy buildings, failing to understand two things. First of all, that presents an opportunity for something like this to happen. I dropped that guy out there. He's cost me 8 GBE, and at this point he has killed 12 buildings, or 4 buildings for 12 GBE. That would be 15 that he's gotten me. So I'm now plus 7 GBE on this guy. That's about to be plus 10. I was hoping he would wander up in this direction and he could have gotten me a whole bunch more. So, what's that? 15, 18. So now I'm plus 10 on this Super Warrior, and I think now he wanders into range of the cannon and boom cannon. And yeah, his life ends abruptly. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 21 GBE he got me, and cost me 8. So GBE extender. So that is the first problem when you load up your defensive buildings like that. And as it gets, normally that's not a problem because, Normally that's not so much of a problem because I don't have critters that I can throw. I have Eversparks critters, and I use them very, very heavily. But I don't have critters that I can throw back there to get that GBE, but guess what? Now I have them. I have the equivalent in the Super Warriors. And this was not the best planned attack over on this end. I was just trying to get past the shock launchers and really just get as close to the rear of the base as possible with as many troops as possible. Didn't put a ton of thought into it. I just figured I'd take a crack at the guy. But, you know, by the time I got back here, I was starting to feel like things were going pretty well. And look, he's still giving me a whole bunch of GBE back there, which means I'm going to spam some critters out. Threw another Super Warrior over the top to speed up the process and get me more GBE. And he has been so kind as to leave his shock launchers back there. I'm not so much worried about boom cannons and cannons because of the critters. Not really worried about these. The critters are going to get in there and shoot those up. My heavies will still be out front of my Zookas. And yeah, I'm just going to overpower him. He's a 52, I believe. And I'm just going to overpower the guy, which is just unbelievable to me. This isn't even as, like, the 58 that I beat earlier. That was sneaky. That was finding one particular spot in the base and exploiting a weakness. This is pretty basic Boom Beach 101. This is flanking maneuvers. That's all it is. I flanked around him, got up some extra GBE, and then cleared a hole. These things are going to be attacking me, but not too big a deal. That's what the critters are for, that's what the heavies are for, and I've still got enough girls back there. That's quite a bit, and I'm just going to mow this guy down. So the other problem, I said there's two problems with stacking the back of your base with your economy buildings. The first one is that you can, in an instance like this, or if someone has critters, you can provide basically a fund for them to go back there and farm up a bunch of GBE. Or even in a more typical scenario for someone to flank, as I did, would have been harder without the extra GBE, but flank, get somewhere back to this area of the world and you're safe enough, and then if you can get back here, farm up just GBE for days. The other thing, and people don't consider this when they're starting out, yes, when people destroy your economy buildings, they are getting GBE along the way, sure, but they're also taking time out of their attack. And so with this base, not so much with my main base, but with this base, you'll notice that I've sort of laced these through and along the sides, because if you're going to sit, let's say at this gold storage, if your troops are going to sit parked there and attack the gold storage, I'm okay with that. My boom cannon might be shooting you. My sniper tower will be shooting you. My cannon will be shooting you most likely because you haven't gotten that far yet. My rocket could be shooting you. This sniper, I mean, this building is surrounded by defenses, and if your troops are going to stop and park and shoot at these guys, I'm okay with that. Yeah, you get some GBE, but I get more time to shoot at you. So, when you set up your base design, please, first of all, don't just stack everything to the back, because you will eventually see someone like me come along and just blow your base to bits. Even somebody much lower level, 14 levels lower than you, in that case. But also, there is a very good reason to have your economy buildings sort of staggered through the base. And I'm still a little bit backloaded. A little bit. I put some things back here. However, I'm sort of calculating, first of all, there's not a bunch of people that are going to be using critters on me. And even if they are using critters, I've got enough going back here. This building is kind of exposed, but this one isn't. Got a boom cannon on it, got a cannon on it, got a rocket on it, and back here, they're actually in pretty good shape back there. You could take this building down from the far side if you threw Harriers, but as soon as your Super Warriors, as soon as you threw your Super Warrior tried to step up to attack one of these guys, the boom cannon is on you, the cannon is on you, the sniper is on you, and so on. So, do consider setting up your base more like this, and please don't set up your base like that last fellow. Or the fellow before him who had his beach defended and not his HQ. Although, again, I suspect there might have been a reason for that. But, I mean, unless you're trying to drop VP, but that's a deliberate decision, then you don't want to do that. Defend your HQ, not the beach. So, very quickly, that was the meat of what I wanted to show you, but very quickly we're going to show you the first 3 stages of Dr. T with these Super Warriors, which again, I did not think would be all that great. I take it back, they are wonderful. We're going to put this in a faster mode. First 3 stages of Dr. T today, I didn't even have to drop troops. I was a little wary about these cannons, but they were level 1 cannons, and so the Super Warriors barely even took a dent from them, and at that point I just went to town. I dropped Everspark over here, no troops, just Everspark, that doesn't quite count. That was to farm up GBE and destroy buildings, so I could throw more Super Warriors and destroy more buildings and just like run amok through this Dr. T base. So no real troops, same here. Just having a field day with the Super Warrior. Everspark down there, she's going to go ahead and get me a bunch of GBE. This boom cannon is going to be a problem, and that's pretty much the only problem I see here. So, chuck 2 Super Warriors and shock. Now, one thing the Super Warriors do is they put like the Cryoneer does, they slow buildings down. The back Super Warrior here is fine because he's in a blind spot. This isn't going to damage him very much. This sniper isn't going to damage him very much. The boom is still a problem. However, because there's a Super Warrior on it, you'll notice that it is being slowed down too. When it went to turn to shoot, it turned very, very slowly, which gave me plenty of time to throw another shock. Here we're throwing another Super Warrior just to get that guy out of the way quickly. Oh, look, and here comes Everspark. She's marching up into the picture. Another Super Warrior down there. I think we got all of the buildings in this base. If you ever can do that, if you have the opportunity to do that because it improves your odds of getting crystals, shards, fragments, so on. And then finally, stage 3, same idea. Still no troops dropped. So, shock launchers out of range, no booms to speak of. We can drop into blind spots, in the blind spot of that mortar, of that rocket launcher. This machine gun is doing absolutely nothing. These snipers are not big concerns. I believe we have Everspark over there, and she's going to go get us some more GBE. And just powering through this base. This Super Warrior is starting to head off in a direction I don't really care for, so I threw another one onto the HQ to get the damage going over there. I mean, this guy's fine. He's smashing buildings and getting me GBE. More Super Warriors on the HQ. We're just speeding this up at this point. Nothing is doing any kind of damage to these guys at all, to speak of. So, Super Warriors are wonderful at this level. If you're not using them, I could not tell you why. You should be. They are a lot of fun. Go out there, play with them, find this fella with his corner base, and rock his world. Alrighty, I'm Alex. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you're using these guys in a way that you've not seen me using them, either as a GBE extender or as a version of Critters, drop me a line. Let me know what you've thought of. I've so far have found these guys to be absolutely wonderful. And the thing is, I believe at this point we're now going to be seeing these temporary gunboat abilities all the time. I had speculated after the cryo bomb, which was also wonderful, that they would be doing this, and so I am pretty happy to see now the second temporary ability. I would assume at this point they're just going to keep this loop going. So they'll give us a few weeks with the temporary ability, and then a couple of weeks just playing the game as per normal, and then a new ability will cycle through. Some are better than others. This one is a lot better than I thought. So now at this point there is no reason to think that they won't continue to give us these. So the Super Warriors will cycle around again. Might take a while, might take 6 months, but they'll cycle around again. And when they do, this is what I'm doing with them. This is what you can do with them. Have fun. Alrighty, I gotta go pretend I gotta do stuff. Have a good day. I'm out.